Genesis chapter 12, verse 3. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee.
And before we go any further, they nowadays, like, you'll watch these televangelists, they'll be on TV looking for people to send money and to support the so-called nation of Israel that's located over there now. And they'll use this scripture saying, if you send in money to bless Israel, then you'll be blessed. But it's a hijacking. They've hijacked our name, they've hijacked our heritage, they've hijacked our land, and in doing that, they're trying to claim the blessings that have been promised to us. But, it's okay. They can go ahead and do that. The Most High, and Christ already knew that this would happen, and he speaks of it in Revelations 2 and 9. He calls them the synagogue of Satan, those who claim to be Jews and are not. So, all praise to the Most High. We are aware, and we knew that this would happen. All right, continue.
Verse 3. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed.
Shall all families of the earth be blessed. And we just saw how that takes place in Acts. And it's still true today that those who bless us, the true Israelites, will be blessed. Whether they know they're blessing Israel or not. Continue with verse 4.
Verse 4. So Abram departed as the Most High had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran.
So the Most High made these promises to Abraham and told him to leave for another land. Told him to leave everything he knew. Told him to leave all of the people that he knew to go somewhere that he had not specifically told him or given him a specific destination. He just told him to go. And Abraham did it. Continue.
Verse 5. And Abram took Sarah, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. Verse 6. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plain of Morah, and the Canaanites was then in the land.
So he sent him to a land that was already occupied by people, by Canaanites already. Continue reading.
Verse 7. And the Most High appeared unto Abram, and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. And there built he an altar unto the Most High, who appeared unto him.
So, as it says, this land is Canaan. Today, as I mentioned, this land is occupied and mostly controlled by a Zionist faction in the earth, claiming to be us. They falsely claim to hold to the prophecy that is claimed for our heritage. And since Israel fell in 70 AD, it has always been important for the heathen nations to occupy and control this land. Because you'll notice throughout the history of time, whoever has occupied or controlled the land of Israel, or that in that vicinity of the world, they have pretty much controlled the world. Because that is the point where the Most High has his eye. That's the point. That's the land that the Most High has set up. And that is why that is the place the Most High would have his people to be. And even though they look to control this land and they look to occupy and determine who goes in and who goes out, or who can go in and who can't go out, the Most High is ultimately going to have the last word. And he's going to determine who will reside in this land when it's all said and done. Okay? Now, with that being said, let's jump into Genesis real quick. Genesis chapter 13. Verse 14.
Genesis chapter 13, verse 14. And the Most High said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thy eyes, and look from the place where thou art, northward and southward and eastward and westward.
Okay, so what had happened here, we just read how Abraham took Lot with him. And they had sat in a land together, but it became that they were both growing so wealthy through their livestock and through their possessions and through their heritage that they were kind of their shepherds were fighting over the land to graze over and things like this. And so Abraham, rather than having a fallout with his nephew, he came to his nephew and said, "Look, what land do you want?" He gave him first pick. And Lot took the land that looked most desirable for his purposes, and Abraham took what was left over. Well, it happens that what was left over to Abraham was the land that the Most High had promised for Abraham anyway, and that's what we're reading right here when it says, "And the Lord." And the Most High said unto Abraham after that Lot was separated from him. This is after they went their separate ways. He told him to look up. He said, look northward, look southward, eastward, and westward. Continue with verse 15.
Verse 15. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever.
And to thy seed forever. So we notice that it says to thy seed as well. And then he says forever. Continue reading.
Verse 16. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered.
So we know that the people that are in that land right now are not the seed of Abraham. So the prophecy that prophecy in itself has yet to be fulfilled. He said that he would make it the land for his seed forever. And we know that when Christ returns, he's going to return and claim all kingdoms of the earth. But he will set up his capital. This is my own terms. When we read in Revelations, when it says that the kingdom was coming out of the heavens, it will sit in Israel. It will sit in Jerusalem. And the children of Israel will again live in that land forever. That is the fulfillment of the prophecy. This has not happened yet. So Israel must still be a people and a nation for this to ever happen. And we know that the Bible is not short of his promises. The Most High, his words do not return back void. So this in itself is a prophecy that is yet to be fulfilled. Continue.
Verse 17.
Oh, that's it on that.
Okay.
The Most High gave this land to Israel under the leadership of Joshua. But prior to that, Israel grew to become a nation in Egypt and were escorted out of Egypt by Moses. So let's go to Exodus real quick and look into this Exodus out of Egypt a little bit. We're still dealing with the fact that Israel is not done away. Let's go to Exodus 12 and verse 36.
Now that's the other Exodus, the Exodus.
Toward the front. It's the second book of the Bible. And see, these things that we're going into now, and the whole idea of Israel still being a nation and around, were never even mentioned or thought of when I was in the so-called church, the Baptist church. It was never spoken of. It was irrelevant. And that's why today so many people, when this issue is brought up, they want to say, it doesn't matter or they don't exist. They say that out of their ignorance because they can't even talk to you in a biblical manner about the topic. So they rather just discard it and take it off the table. That's why it's important that we're able to show people how Israel is thread throughout the whole book, from Genesis to Revelations. There are prophecies yet to be fulfilled by Israel, and there's purposes yet to be purposed by Israel. So let's go ahead and read in Exodus.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 36. And the Most High gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required. And they spoiled the Egyptians.
So they spoiled the Egyptians. This is after all of the curses had fell upon Egypt for not following, for Pharaoh going against the Most High through the voice of Moses. Moses told him to let his people go, and he didn't. And so the Most High, he plagued them. Now Pharaoh has decided to let his people go. But before they left, the Most High told Moses to go to the Egyptians and require from them. And he had put a spirit upon their heart that the Egyptians gave freely to Israel. And that's where we are now. Continue.
Verse 37. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramsey to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men, beside children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle.
So we see that along with Israel, they took out spoils out of Egypt, and they also took out a mixed multitude out of Egypt. When we came out of Egypt, some strangers that were non-Israelites came out with us. This is what the mixed multitude is referring to here in verse 38. And there was a law concerning servitude between Israel and the strangers, or this mixed multitude, that was established. We know that the law was put into writing and established through Moses after we had came out of Egypt. So there was a law established for servitude between us and the non-Israelites that were with us. The Most High had just brought us out of servitude to serve him and no one else. Our purpose has always been, as Israelites, is to be a servant to the Most High. We weren't supposed to serve any other people. But because of our disobedience, the curses fell upon us. But here, fresh out of Egypt, he was taking us to a land to serve him. He was taking us to Canaan at that time to serve him. So let's go a little deeper into this. Let's look at the law that was brought out. And let's go to Leviticus chapter 25. We're going to deal with Leviticus for a while to continue to build this point of Israel not being done away with. Keep in mind when we read Leviticus that it's referring, when we read this chapter anyway, that it's referring to this mixed multitude that came out with us. Chapter 25 in Leviticus, verse 35.
Leviticus chapter 25, verse 35. 35. And if thy brethren be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him.
Okay, so this is the law going towards the children of Israel. And he says, if you have a brother among you who falls on hard times or may become poor or decay with thee, meaning with another Israelite, he's saying to relieve them. Continue.
Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee.
He's saying to do this so that he may live with thee. Continue.
Verse 36. Take thou no usury of him or increase.
So he's saying don't, which is the way our system is set up today. He's saying do not tax him. Like if we borrow money or if we go to someone like a bank, and nowadays even just your neighbor will do this, and you say, I need about $1,000 loan so I can take care of this. Well, on top of that $1,000 loan, you're paying interest. The Bible calls interest usury. It's against our laws to charge interest on someone. It's saying, take thou no usury of him or increase. So if you lend to a brother, don't lend to him expecting to get what you lent to him and some back. In all honesty, the scripture says to lend as if you will not receive it back again. That way, if you don't receive it back, then it's nothing that you lost anyway, because you gave it not expecting to receive it. And see, the Most High's law was set up to govern us righteously. So if you lend to someone not expecting to receive it back, there's not going to be any hard feelings when it doesn't come back. If that's what happens, that brother may not be able to give it back, or he may be in a bad spirit to where he just doesn't want to give it back. Either way, that's not on you, that's on him. But we're looking here at this usury law, and our system of today is set up that way. So our system is built on lawlessness. It's a wicked system, which is not anything new to us. Everyone is enslaved by debt today.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's what the Most High did not want happening to his people. He did not want anyone to be lord over anyone else because of a debt.
Mm-hmm.
And that is exactly how they have become lord over us today, through debt. Continue reading that verse.
Verse 36. Take thou no usury of him or increase, but fear the Most High, that thy brother may live with thee. Verse 37. Thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury, nor lend him thy victuals for increase.
So when he's saying victuals, he's speaking of whatever it is, whatever trade it is you have, or whatever you harvest from your field.
Mm-hmm.
But today, that's a business. It's a business to make money off of lending someone money.
Mm-hmm.
It's big. It's probably the biggest business besides, should I say, so-called legal business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, other than slaves and drug sales. This is considered a legal business today, and it's probably the biggest legal business.